Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the very wonderful Barbara Murakami. Hi, Barbara, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Hello, everybody.
And you're in Germany, is that correct?
Yes, in Düsseldorf, in Germany.
In Germany. Wonderful. Now, Barbara, we've known each other for about 4 years now, I guess, five maybe.
Maybe, yeah, something
Worked
like
on different projects together.
mhm.
And I still don't know much about your origins, your Shiatsu origins. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, my original profession is a special education teacher, which is quite a challenging job. And there came a time when I got quite exhausted. And then I have a Japanese husband. That's my name is Murakami. And he said, why don't you go to Shiatsu? At first I thought, oh, well, would that be? I have to go somewhere and pay money for it. But finally, he gave me a present, so you go to Shiatsu. Oh, and then I thought, oh, what is this? Somebody has time for me for 1 hour, only for me. And this, of course, the sensation and everything, I thought, oh, I will go for that. And I went there regularly, and then finally I decided, oh, I want to learn that because by learning it and I can also do something for myself. And then maybe I can use it for the children I work with in the school. So I went to a Shiatsu training. There is a school which still exists, a school for Shiatsu in Hamburg with Wilfried Rappmaker. And they had a branch in Düsseldorf at that time. So I went there and was trained for 3, 4 years. And then I started practicing alongside to my regular job, which suited me quite well. Then I can do shiatsu as much as I want without any economic pressure. I have how many clients do I get, and I can just work and attract whoever suits me. And I did that for 6, 7 years, and then I thought, oh, I want to teach that also to other people, and particularly to people who work with children and with disabled people. So I started doing 1 or 2 years courses with 12 weekends for people who don't want to have a degree in shiatsu, but they want to use shiatsu in their work. So I really enjoy this work. And I did a training in psychosynthesis. This is a psychotherapeutic method similar to psychoanalysis. And I thought this is good for me to combine talking or feeling what is behind physical symptoms and to be able to accompany them. So this
Fantastic.
was good and I enjoyed that. Mm.
Mm. So
And
you've mentioned that many times in our conversation, psychosynthesis. What do you think that that especially brings to your shiatsu practice?
uh, psychosynthesis also works a lot with images, inner images. And this is sometimes you can ask or people who I work with, maybe they produce images by themselves, or this feels like ants in my stomach, or this feels like somebody stabs me from behind. And then, of course, you can also a little bit work on this level. Or sometimes I do that without shiatsu, of course, no separate sessions, only this or only shiatsu. But I
Mhm.
have more methods to use, and you can, because I think body and soul and mind are quite linked, and it's nice to have different tools to work with it.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned your background there, what your job was before you encountered shiatsu. And it seems
Yes,
to me that you've continued with that as a red thread throughout your
yes,
career. Is that true?
yes. I was a teacher for 40 years in that school. But now I retired, but now I can do more shiatsu or uh, and on whatever I want. But I have this background. Mhm.
Yes. And you seem to be moving in that direction now with your shiatsu. Is that true?
Yes, well, I did work with disabled people. I have worked for 15 or 20 years every week, one afternoon. I go to a place where they live and work, And this was for me quite a revelation about what Shiatsu is really about. It's not so much, well, this sort of Shiatsu is not so much about points and meridians and whatever. It's quite different. So this really taught me a lesson.
So tell us, in which way is it different then?
Please say again.
In which way is it different, this kind of treatment?
Well, one thing is practically, quite a number, they sit in wheelchairs and can't move.
Mm.
So, and they wouldn't get out of this wheelchair. So you have to work with them while they sit there. Several are autistic. They don't want to be touched to start with. So this will take months and months and months to get to, closer. And but it's really, I really enjoy that, to get to meet first without touch and then step by step. Some of them lie down, some don't. No way. So, but of course, in this world, everybody is different. But these persons everyone is really different. Each one is really different. Has a different kind of history and background and disability. So you really have to be quite flexible.
Mm. So you've been doing this for 12 to 15 years, you say?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
15.
Once a week you go to see them. And how long do you spend with them?
But I always be there 2.5 hours, and with each person, I spend about half an hour, sometimes only 10 minutes is enough for them.
Mm.
And sometimes 1 hour, but not so often, because then I don't have enough time for those other ones. They are waiting. Yeah, they know this is Tuesday. Now Barbara will come. And they talk about it all morning. So I have to make sure I go there. At least I see them and.
So possibly then some of these people you've been treating them for 12 to 15 years. Same people.
Let me think. I think there are only two. One is I've known him for all that time, but treatment has started only two years ago. And the other young autistic man I've been working with for like 10 years. Some they leave or they die, or
Sure. Um, you mentioned to me also that you're working with disabled people. Is this what you meant? These
yeah,
kind of disabilities? Yes.
many. They don't come to my practice. I go there.
Right. And you've also mentioned to me that you like to treat elderly people. Is that in the same category or is
No,
that a different thing you're talking about?
this is different. They come. And
Ah,
they live around here, they will come, and it's also quite
hmm.
special way to.
And how is it special, Barbara? Tell us about that.
Uh, the whole process is more slow. No? Of course, and you have to be careful just to get them on the futon and all those things. And often they're quite lonely, so they want different things from Shiatsu. Often they don't want to have their knee fixed or something. They want to be with somebody and be seen and maybe talk
Maybe
and
her.
yeah and touch and be touched often. They don't get much body physical touch anymore.
Mm.
So this is quite different to somebody who comes in 30-year-old and just my back hurts a bit, can you do something about it? It's quite different.
Yes, I'm sure.
Mm.
You've put together a book a few years ago, which I think, if we translate into English, becomes Room for Encounter
Yeah,
or Space for Encounter. You seem to be describing it to me now
yeah.
in the terms of the treatments that you do and the kinds of clients that you're meeting. Would that be true?
Yes, definitely. This is if I would give it title the way I work, would be called an encounter.
Mm.
But of course I know about meridians and points and I will do it, but this is not my main issue, my main topic when the people come here.
So, what are the key aspects of encounter for you, Barbara?
Key aspect, this is resonance, of course. And yeah, I think many people are quite lonely in various ways. And if they are seen and I'm seen. We see each other. It's quite special. And some do it by music or by poetry, and you can do it by shiatsu. But this is this space between you and me.
Wonderful. That must be extremely useful to have as a context when you're dealing with people who have difficulty verbalizing
Yeah.
and who have difficulty perhaps with the whole idea of touch.
Yeah. So this is particularly with autistic people. When you look from outside, maybe you think this is not shiatsu. What they do, they just sit there. Or
Yeah.
also, uh, usually in shiatsu, you vary every each time you vary what you do. And like for somebody who is autistic or traumatized, they don't like that. They want to have the same thing done every time. So they will maybe start with hands or whatever, and then do the same meridian 3 times. This is much more important than how a diagnosis told me you have to do stomach or whatever. This is not the point.
Mhm. It sounds almost a little bit ritualistic,
With some people, yeah.
like a ceremony almost. You have to go through certain steps
Mhm.
together, like agreed protocol almost.
Yeah, only with certain with those autistic people it would be like that.
Yeah, that's a really good tip for people who are thinking about
Hmm.
working with autistic people. I think that's a really interesting starting point to bear
Hmm.
that in mind.
Yeah, autistic are also quite mentally retarded. They don't know what's happening. They want to have the same thing.
Yeah. Wow, interesting.
Mm.
So these projects that you're telling me about, Barbara, they've just developed organically. Is that true?
Yeah,
Yeah. Just through your background and your interests.
it just life led me this way. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the way you described your beginnings with Shiatsu. There was no pressure on you, how
Mhm.
many patients or whatever, because you already had a job that was giving you an income. I think that's a really interesting tip for some people to bear in mind. Like, take the pressure off by ensuring your income is already there at some
Yeah.
level. Would you agree?
Yeah, I always tell that to people who want to start on shiatsu. Well, don't give up your job. Just do it, and then shiatsu can develop as much as possible. And you don't have to wreck your brain. How do I get patients, and how do I pay rent for this room? And yeah.
Yeah, which is how I started.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can do it. But many people they have a family to look
Yeah.
after. It's
Oh, yeah.
different. If
Yeah.
you are on your own and have no money, well, this is not so serious. But if you have kids to send to school, and you can't say, well, you can't go to school because I want to do my shiatsu.
Exactly. Practicalities. So, how do you see things developing from here, Barbara? You think you will continue with this kind of work for a while?
I think so. Yeah, and well, as long as I'm healthy, and of course those things. No? But it's I think that this is what I really enjoy
And
doing.
how are you planning to share
And
it? How are you
pardon?
planning to share it more in the future? I think you're going to start teaching these things, aren't you?
Yeah, I did already recently after Corona and all that, where I gave up teaching a little bit, and I started again doing courses for people who work with disabled persons. And I did that early this year. Many of this institution where I work, they came,
Hmm.
and they can use it
Yeah.
because they saw all, what I do, and I thought, oh, they want to learn it, and they came, and I do this again in autumn, and I do it for the Shiatsu school in Hamburg.
Great. So the
Mhm.
first time was local in Düsseldorf?
The first, yeah, usually I do locally, and I did other things in the south of Germany, teach, but not for about disabled people. This was different things. This
Hmm.
was with Joachim Schrevers. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, 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 of course. Ah, well, I know about him. We don't know each other personally. So I guess you'll keep developing that teaching side as well, it sounds like.
Yeah, I always teach. I like them because I'm a teacher. And when a few years ago, 6 years ago, I started learning about clean language with Nick Pohl. And now I also teach that to people who work, are body workers, because I think it's a quite useful tool.
Mm.
I teach this one and focusing. Focusing was part of my psychosynthesis training. And this
Is focusing part of psychosynthesis or are they parallels?
psychosynthesis, they use all kind of methods. I can't make a big speech about psychosynthesis, but the main point is not the method, but the attitude to people, the way they look at people. This is different, but then they use whatever is suitable in the situation, and focusing is quite a good part of it.
Mm.
So I learned that,
Focus-
and it's good for Shiatsu people.
Focusing and clean language, are they similar in any way?
Very similar.
Okay. hmm Good to know. So, Barbara, how do you see your future from here? What is your next step and what are your steps afterwards? Where will we see you?
Step is, yeah, which as I said, I will go more into teaching and write something about working with a disabled person, maybe for the Shiatsu journal or for whoever.
Yeah, if you want that help translating that into English, I think that would be a very well received piece in the English speaking countries as well.
All right, I will do that. And well, I did write one article about clean language,
Hmm?
an introductory one. I've translated that already, so if you want it, I can send it to you. But this other one I will do when I have time.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, Barbara.
Mhm.
Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and
Oh,
I
my
hope
pleasure.
people are inspired by your particular avenues of working. Thanks very much, and hope to see you in person one day soon.
Yeah, I thought to come to Brussels, but it's not so far from Düsseldorf.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and
Pleasure.
see you soon.